large muffins, you'll need 150 mils, 5 fluid ounces of milk, 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil, 2 medium-sized eggs, 225 grams, 8 ounces of self-raising flour, 150 grams, that's just over 5 ounces of sugar, a large pinch of salt, and 100 grams, 4 ounces of fresh or frozen blueberries. Now before you do anything else, you must make sure that your oven is preheated to 200 degrees centigrade, 400 Fahrenheit, that's gas mark 6, and that your muffin tin is prepared. Now you can use muffin paper cases, which you can just pop in here so the mixture goes in the case. I'm going to bake mine directly in the tin because I couldn't find any muffin cases. You can either grease them with butter or margarine, but I'm going to use oil just to keep this a dairy-free recipe. I'll just pour a little bit of oil in, not too much. Get a piece of kitchen paper and just use it to well grease all of the holes. Make sure you get into the corners, otherwise the mixture will stick to the pan. And it's important to do this well before you start mixing your ingredients, because one of the keys to getting a good muffin mixture is to mix it very briefly, as I'll show you in a second. So my oven's preheated and my tin is prepared, so now I can start to make the muffin mixture. Now first of all, you need to mix all the wet ingredients together. Doing it in a jug is more convenient. So that's the milk, the eggs and the vegetable oil. Don't use olive oil or any fancy oil, just a straightforward corn oil or sunflower oil. And whisk those together until they're very well blended, completely mixed up. Use a whisk, it makes life a lot easier. So there we have the mixture, all mixed up, and I'm just going to set that aside. And in a large mixing bowl, I'm going to put all the dry ingredients. Now that is the flour, the sugar, a little bit of salt, just a pinch or so, and the blueberries. Now it really is important to make the blueberry muffin mixture in this order, because you don't want to overmix the batter, otherwise the gluten starts to overwork and the texture of the finished muffin isn't the way it should be. So mix those all together. If you're using frozen blueberries, there's no need to defrost them. I've actually used frozen blueberries here, because by the time you've done all this and you've baked them, they will have completely defrosted and softened up. So I've mixed all the dry ingredients in my mixing bowl very well, and I'm just going to make a well in the centre. Now I'm using a spatula because when you add the liquid to the dry ingredients, you literally want to mix it as quickly as possible. So I'll take my wet ingredients, just an extra whisk, pour it into the centre, the whole lot in, and then I'm going to mix it with a folding action. Don't use a wooden spoon, and you're aiming at using as few strokes as possible. You don't want to get a completely smooth batter as with many other cake mixes, and in fact you could actually still see some blobs and some flour which hasn't quite mixed in. And that's it. That's about as much mixing as you need to do. You can still probably see some bits of flour and blobs in here. That's exactly what you want. So now I'm going to place this in my muffin tin. So take a large spoonful of the mixture and place into each of the holes. They should be about 2/3 full. A little less won't really matter. I've just made a mess there. That was not very good. Try and make sure you get a good amount of blueberries into each hole so that when they're cooked everyone has a nice amount. A little bit extra in there. And then, if you like, you can sprinkle an extra little bit of sugar over the top of each. This blueberry mixture isn't that sweet, so the extra sugar on the top gives a nice extra sweetness and a nice crunch. Once that's done, pop them in the oven for between 20 to 25 minutes until they're risen, golden brown and cooked all the way through. After 20 to 25 minutes, remove them from the oven, and if you leave them to sit in the pan for about 10 minutes, you'll be able to get them out much more easily. And then transfer to a wire rack and allow to cool. They can be eaten quite warm or allowed to cool completely. Just look at that. Beautiful, fresh blueberry muffin.